If you owe back taxes and you've been researching ways to deal with your tax debt, you've probably heard of the Offer in Compromise, or OIC. The OIC is a way to settle your tax debt for less than the full amount that you actually owe. But how much less? How much do you have to offer to settle your tax debt? That's the topic of today's video on the other side of the break.
1-877-LEVY-KING, L-E-V-Y, Levy-King, 1-877-LEVY-KING, LEVYKING.com.
Owe back taxes to the IRS? Call the Levy King. He's the best. 877-LEVY-KING, LEVYKING.com.
1-877-LEVY-KING, LEVYKING.com.
What's up, guys? Corey Hankerson here from Legacy Tax, and they call me the Levy King because I've helped thousands of clients with unfiled returns, back taxes, tax liens, and that's right, IRS levies. If the IRS took your check, the Levy King will get it back. 1-877-LEVY-KING, LEVYKING.com. I'm also the author of End the Tax Nightmare, Insider Secrets to Beat the IRS and Reduce Your Tax Debt. Inside the book, I'll show you how to stop IRS levies, liens, and garnishments without paying the tax in full. How to set up the payment plan that you want and not the one that they want. And how to potentially settle your tax debt for less than you actually owe. My book has been a top seller on Amazon for years, and you can buy it right now for $19.99. But I want to give you a copy of the book absolutely free. Just go over to my website, www.endthetaxnightmare.com, and enter your name and email, and I'll send you a copy of the book right away. No charge, not even for shipping. Totally free. Before I go any further with the video, please take a minute to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And while you're at it, hit that notification bell so you'll get a heads up each and every time we drop a new video. Okay, guys, let's dive into today's content. What is the minimum the IRS will accept in an offer in compromise? Is it based on a percentage of my total debt? Is it based on how good of a negotiator I am? Or maybe it's just whatever the government feels like accepting. These are the types of questions and comments that I get on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram all the time. So today, I'm going to take a few minutes to try and help y'all understand exactly how much the IRS will settle for. The first thing you have to understand is that settlement amounts are not based on how much you owe. Instead, they're based on how much the IRS concludes that you can afford to repay. This amount is known as the reasonable collection potential, or RCP. When the IRS looks at an offer in compromise case, the first thing they look for is that reasonable collection potential. From IRS.gov, quote, in most cases, the IRS won't accept an offer in compromise, or OIC, unless the amount offered by the taxpayer is equal to or greater than the reasonable collection potential, RCP. The RCP is how the IRS measures the taxpayer's ability to repay. The RCP includes the value that can be realized from the taxpayer's assets, such as real property, automobiles, bank accounts, and other property. In addition to property, the RCP also includes anticipated future income minus certain amounts allowed for basic living expenses. It's sort of like a puzzle, or maybe a math problem, where the reasonable collection potential is equal to your monthly discretionary income multiplied by 12 plus your net asset equity. Now, I'm not a mathematician, and I'm sure somebody's going to correct me in the comments if I've sketched out that math equation incorrectly, but I hope you get the concept. I should also note that when you're doing an OIC, you can generally choose between a 5-month and 24-month repayment schedule. This is going to be based on whether you're choosing to pay in a lump sum, that's 5 months, or you're going to choose what's called a periodic offer, which is 24 months, a deferred offer, right? You're deferring it over 24 months. With a 5-month repayment schedule, you're going to multiply your income by 12. So if you choose the 24-month repayment schedule, you're going to multiply your income by 24. In this video, I'm using a 5-month repayment schedule as my example because that's what I see most commonly in my practice. With that in mind, let's take a closer look at income and assets. To calculate your monthly discretionary income, you first determine what your total gross monthly income is. Don't start with your net, start with your gross. Gross income includes all sources of income, including W-2 and 1099 income. Money from pensions and investments count also. And don't forget gig economy income from sources like Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash. All of those things count too. If you're married, you'll also need to include your spouse's income. Most of the time, though there are a few exceptions. You may be able to exclude some or all of your spouse's assets. More on that later. But you will need to include their income. Now, once you've calculated your gross income, you'll move on to expenses, which is where things can become quite confusing. This is because it's not just your expenses that count, but your allowable expenses. This distinction is significant because the IRS may not recognize or allow every single thing that you spend money on as an allowable expense. The IRS has something called the Collection Financial Standards, link in the description below, which means it's going to limit and in some cases might even exclude some of your expenses. For example, your car note that you actually pay every month may be $700 a month, for example. But the standard right now is $588. And the difference between that $700 and the $588 will not be allowed in your OIC calculation. Another example, maybe you have children in private school, or maybe you tithe 10% of your income to your church. Neither of these expenses will be allowed because the IRS will not recognize gifts to charity or private school tuition unless your situation falls into one of a few very narrow exceptions. The last thing to do here is to subtract your allowable expenses from your gross monthly income to arrive at your monthly discretionary income. Of course, you need to multiply that number by either 12 or 24, depending upon whether you're filing a lump sum or a periodic payment offer in compromise. To wrap it up, the amount that the IRS will accept is not based on how much you owe, but rather it's based on your ability to repay. The offer in compromise can potentially be an excellent way for you to settle your tax debt. If you want to determine how much the IRS will accept, you'll need to determine the reasonable collection potential of your case. Speaking of tax debt, I want you to know that there are special programs in place to help you get a fresh start. But how do you know if you qualify? You see, no two cases are exactly alike. So how do you know exactly how much you can settle for? Well, I've created a free tool to help you get qualified for a fresh start. Just head over to www.LEVY-KING.com or click the link below. Follow the prompts and answer a few simple questions, and we'll help you figure out your eligibility for a fresh start. That website again is www.LEVY-KING.com, or you can give us a call at 1-877-LEVY-KING. That's it for this week, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.